The night sky over Mount Surak was unusually clear, stars twinkling like diamonds scattered across black velvet. Inside the observatory's main control room, Dr. Han Ta-min sat at his monitoring station, sipping his third cup of coffee. The clock on the wall showed 2:45 a.m., and the quiet hum of equipment filled the air. Everything changed when the first readings appeared on his screen. At first, Ta-min thought it was a glitch. The energy signatures were unlike anything he had ever seen. He adjusted his glasses and leaned closer to the monitor, his coffee forgotten. "Professor Lee," he called out, his voice cracking slightly. "You need to see this." The readings grew stronger. What started as a small blip on the edge of their detection range was now expanding rapidly. Multiple objects, moving in perfect formation, were entering the solar system. Their speed and trajectory made it clear these were not natural phenomena. Ta-min's hands flew across the keyboard, running every possible analysis. The computer struggled to keep up with his commands as more data poured in. Behind him, other team members began gathering, their whispers filling the room with nervous energy. "Call the military," Professor Lee ordered, his face pale under the blue light of the monitors. Now, at exactly 3:00 a.m., Chief Military Advisor Kim Do-young was awakened by the sharp ring of his secure phone. He listened silently to the report, his expression growing darker with each passing second. By the time he reached the command center 20 minutes later, the situation had escalated beyond their worst fears. The objects weren't just ships, they formed an armada. Massive vessels, each larger than Earth's biggest cities, moved with precise coordination. Their dark hulls absorbed light rather than reflecting it, making them appear like moving holes in space. Then came the transmission. It burst through every communication channel, overriding all security protocols. The message was in perfect English, but the voice that delivered it was anything but human. Deep, resonating tones filled with authority and disdain echoed through speakers worldwide. "People of Earth, hear the words of the Draconian Empire. Your planet has been marked for integration into our domain. Resistance is not advised. We are many, you are few. We are strong, you are weak. Accept your place in our empire, and your transition will be peaceful." In the observatory, Ta-min watched as the holographic display showed the true scale of their situation. Hundreds of ships, arranged in a formation that resembled a massive arrow pointed directly at Earth. Each vessel carried enough firepower to level continents. The United Earth Defense Council's emergency session began within the hour. Virtual avatars of world leaders and military commanders filled the secure conference space. Arguments broke out immediately. Some advocated immediate surrender, others called for a fighting response, despite their obvious technological disadvantage. Through it all, Park Jae-ho, Earth's Security Commissioner, sat quietly in his sole office, watching the chaos unfold. His calm demeanor drew curious glances from his staff. While others showed fear or anger, Jae-ho's expression remained neutral, almost knowing. "Sir," his assistant whispered, "shouldn't we be more concerned?" Jae-ho smiled slightly, his eyes fixed on the holographic display of the approaching fleet. "Tell me," he said softly, "when a spider builds its web, does it hang warning signs for its prey?" Back at Mount Surak, Ta-min noticed something odd about the data. Hidden beneath the obvious readings of the alien fleet, there were other signatures, extremely faint, coming from Earth itself. They pulsed in a regular pattern, like a sleeping giant taking slow, deep breaths. Before he could investigate further, new orders arrived. All observatories worldwide were to maintain monitoring but report directly to military command. No data was to be shared with the public or the media. As dawn broke over Asia, humanity faced its first day, knowing they weren't alone in the universe. But for a select few who maintained their composure in the face of apparent doom, this was not the beginning of Earth's defeat. It was merely the moment when a very old plan was finally set in motion. In his private office, Jae-ho opened an ancient safe hidden behind a traditional painting. Inside lay a single piece of paper, yellowed with age, containing just one sentence. When they come, remember, the best trap is the one your enemy never sees. The Draconian fleet continued its approach, their massive ships now visible through powerful telescopes. They moved with the confidence of conquerors who had never known defeat, unaware that Earth held secrets older and darker than their empire could imagine. Li Sunwu crouched behind a parked car, her camera trained on the entrance of what appeared to be an ordinary office building. The streets of Seoul were chaos. People running with bags full of supplies, cars honking in endless traffic jams, and the wail of emergency sirens filling the air. But something didn't add up. For the past 12 hours, she had watched military officials entering and leaving this building with an unusual sense of purpose. Their calm demeanor stood in stark contrast to the panic around them. No rushed movements, no worried expressions, just the steady flow of uniformed personnel through a door that, according to city records, led to a simple storage basement. Her instincts as a journalist were screaming that this was important. 10 years of investigating corruption and corporate scandals had taught her to spot patterns, and this one was unlike anything she'd seen before. Through her camera's viewfinder, she watched Colonel Kang Hee-jin step out of a black SUV. The colonel's uniform was pristine, her posture relaxed as she nodded to the guards and entered the building. Sunwoo quickly snapped several photos. Why aren't they afraid? She muttered to herself, checking the images on her camera's screen. The question had been nagging at her since the alien ultimatum was broadcast. While civilians emptied store shelves and fought over gas at filling stations, military leadership appeared almost expectant. The Draconian message continued to play every hour on all channels. Primitive species, you have 72 hours to surrender your world. Resistance is futile. Each time it played, more people rushed to emergency shelters or fled the cities, but the military's response seemed orchestrated, almost rehearsed. Sunwoo pulled out her notebook, reviewing her observations. 3 generals, 7 colonels, and countless lower-ranking officers had entered the building since morning. None had emerged looking concerned about the massive alien fleet hovering beyond the moon. Her phone buzzed. Another emergency alert. 65 hours remaining until the Draconian deadline. She ignored it, focusing instead on a delivery truck that had just arrived. The driver's uniform was crisp military issue, not the usual civilian delivery service. Making sure her press badge was visible, Sunwoo casually walked closer, pretending to talk on her phone. The truck's manifest clipboard was visible through the window. The paper was marked with symbols she'd never seen before. Deep beneath the building, Director Choi Yun-seo stood in a vast chamber that hadn't seen light in centuries. Ancient machines hummed to life around her, their surfaces covered in the same strange symbols Sunwoo had glimpsed on the manifest. Status report, Yun-seo commanded, her voice echoing off metal walls that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. All systems responding, Director, a technician replied. The awakening sequence is proceeding as planned. Facilities in all 7 continents report similar progress. Yun-seo nodded, watching as geometric patterns began glowing on the chamber's walls. Their ancestors had built well, hiding their greatest achievements in plain sight, disguised as natural formations and ordinary buildings. Back on the surface, Sunwoo had made a decision. She slipped through a service entrance, using the skills that had won her multiple investigative journalism awards. The basement level seemed normal at first, storage rooms, maintenance equipment, nothing unusual. Then she found the elevator that shouldn't exist. It was hidden behind what appeared to be a solid wall, only visible because she happened to see Colonel Kang using it earlier. No buttons, no call panel, just a smooth metal surface that somehow knew who was authorized to use it. Sunwoo was so focused on the hidden elevator that she didn't hear the footsteps behind her until it was too late. Impressive work, Ms. Lee, a voice said calmly. She turned to find Colonel Kang watching her with an amused expression. Though I should expect nothing less from someone who exposed the central bank scandal last year. Instead of calling for security, The colonel studied Sun Wu thoughtfully. "Tell me, what do you think is happening here?" "You're not afraid of them," Sun Wu replied, deciding honesty was her best option. "None of you are, which means either you've all lost your minds, or you know something the rest of the world doesn't." Colonel Kang smiled. "Follow me, Ms. Li. Since you've come this far, perhaps it's time you learned why we're not afraid of our visitors." She placed her hand on the smooth metal surface, and the hidden elevator doors slid open silently. As they descended into the earth, neither woman spoke. The elevator moved faster and deeper than should have been possible, finally opening into a world that would redefine everything Sun Wu thought she knew about human history. Pakter Song Minho's fingers traced the ancient symbols etched into the wall, their surfaces still smooth after thousands of years. The mountain facility's lights cast a soft blue glow across the massive chamber, illuminating row after row of crystalline structures that hummed with barely contained power. Major Iam Jin-A stood beside him, her usual military composure shaken by what lay before them. The chamber stretched farther than their eyes could see, disappearing into darkness despite the powerful lights. This was her first time in the deep archives, and the reality far exceeded the briefings she'd received. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" Minho asked, his voice filled with reverence. "Most people think our ancestors left us nothing but stone tools and cave paintings. They never imagined this." He led Jin-A deeper into the facility, past terminals that sparked to life at their approach. Holographic displays materialized around them, showing star maps and mathematical equations that made modern physics look like child's play. "How long have we known about this?" Jin-A asked, watching as a three-dimensional model of the solar system appeared above one crystal pillar. "The program has existed since humanity's earliest recorded history," Minho explained, stopping at a central console. "But not as a military project. The truth is far more interesting." He placed his palm on the console's surface, and the entire chamber transformed. The walls seemed to disappear, replaced by a vista of an alien world. Two suns hung in a purple sky, while massive cities of crystal and light stretched to the horizon. Jin-A gasped as she realized what she was seeing. "This was our home," Minho said softly. "Before Earth. Before we chose to hide ourselves among the stars." The scene shifted, showing massive ships, similar in size to the Draconian fleet now threatening Earth. But these were different. More elegant, more advanced. They carried billions of humans across the galaxy, searching for a new home. "Project Nightfall isn't just a defense system," Minho continued, moving through the historical archive. "It's our inheritance. When our ancestors chose Earth, they didn't come empty-handed. They brought everything. Our technology, our knowledge, our power, and hid it in plain sight." Jin-A watched as the hologram showed mountains being hollowed out, oceans being seeded with technological marvels disguised as natural formations. "The Great Barrier Reef," Minho pointed out, "is actually a planetary shield generator. Mount Everest houses the main quantum computer core. The Mariana Trench contains enough power to move planets. But why hide it all?" Jin-A asked, struggling to process the revelation. "Why live as primitives when we had all this?" Minho's expression grew serious. "Because we learned from our mistakes. Our first civilization nearly destroyed itself with this power. When we came to Earth, our ancestors made a choice to start over, to evolve naturally, to only access this technology when we truly needed it." He led her to another section of the facility, where massive machines were coming to life after millennia of sleep. Their surfaces were covered in the same strange symbols found throughout the complex. "These are quantum matrices," he explained, gesturing to one humming device. "They can reshape reality itself. Those," he pointed to another set of machines, "are dimensional anchors. They can move entire fleets into pocket universes. And the atmospheric processors. They turn Earth's entire atmosphere into a weapon more powerful than any fleet." Jin-A touched one of the machines gently, And all this time, we've been protecting it, passing down the knowledge. Generation after generation. Minho nodded. My great-grandmother taught my grandmother, who taught my mother, who taught me. Every family involved in Project Nightfall has similar stories. We're not just soldiers or scientists. We're guardians. An alarm sounded softly, and new holographic displays appeared. The Draconian fleet had moved closer, their ships now clearly visible from Earth's surface. They think we're primitive, Minho said, beginning the activation sequence for the ancient machines. They see our cities, our simple spacecraft, our apparent lack of defenses. But they never stop to ask why a planet so rich in resources, so perfectly positioned in space, was left untouched by other civilizations. The machine's hum grew louder, and Jin-A felt power building in the air around them. We're not defenseless, she realized. We're not even what we appear to be. No, Minho agreed, watching as systems that had slept for thousands of years came fully online. We're the descendants of people who could move stars and reshape reality. And now, thanks to the Draconians, it's time to remember who we really are. The chamber filled with light as Project Nightfall awakened fully, and somewhere far above them, the Draconian fleet continued their approach, completely unaware that they were about to encounter something far beyond their understanding. The massive control room deep beneath the Pacific Ocean glowed with blue light as Commander Ba Ju-won stood before the ancient control panel. Through the reinforced windows, he could see massive machinery stretching for miles in every direction, built into the very bedrock of Earth's crust. For thousands of years, it had waited here, disguised as natural formations on the ocean floor. Draconian fleet has crossed Mars' orbit, announced a technician, her voice tense. Time to intercept, 6 hours. Ju-won took a deep breath and placed his palm on the activation crystal. It pulsed with inner light, recognizing his genetic signature, a marker passed down through countless generations of guardians. Begin primary sequence, he commanded. Wake them all. Around the world, hidden facilities sparked to life. In the Himalayas, massive doors of stone ground opened for the first time in millennia, revealing crystalline arrays that rose from their ancient slumber. Beneath the Sahara, vast chambers of technology began their power cycles. The Amazon's hidden complexes stirred, their biomechanical systems integrating with the surrounding rainforest. Dr. Kim Hae-yun watched the global activation from the central monitoring station in Seoul. Holographic displays showed energy readings that defied modern physics. Each raindrop in Earth's atmosphere was being subtly altered, transformed into part of the planet's defense grid. Every gust of wind carried quantum particles that could be weaponized in an instant. "It's beautiful," she whispered, watching the planet come alive with power that had laid dormant for so long. The assembled world leaders, watching through secure feeds, stared in disbelief as Hae-yun explained what they were seeing. Most of them had only learned of Project Nightfall's existence hours ago, when the Draconian threat forced the revelation of humanity's greatest secret. "What you're seeing is our true inheritance," Hae-yun explained, gesturing to the displays. "Earth isn't just our home. It's the most sophisticated defensive system ever created. Our ancestors didn't just settle here. They transformed the entire planet into a weapon." In the Pacific facility, Ju-won monitored the awakening process. Ancient machines larger than cities were rising from the ocean floor, their movements causing minor earthquakes that were dismissed by the public as pre-invasion tension. "Commander," called out his second-in-command, "the Mariana arrays are online. Quantum grid is stabilizing." Ju-won nodded, watching as more systems came online. Each one had been disguised as a natural formation. Submarine trenches, underground rivers, mountain ranges. Now they were revealing their true nature. Back in Seoul, Hae-yun continued her explanation to the world leaders. "The atmosphere itself is our first line of defense. Every weather pattern can be controlled. Every molecule of air can be transformed into a quantum barrier. The Draconians think they're approaching a primitive world. They don't realize they're flying into the most sophisticated trap ever created. On screens worldwide, the alien fleet appeared as a mass of dark shapes against the red surface of Mars. Their confidence was evident in their formation. They weren't even trying to hide their approach. Energy grid at 60% and rising, reported a technician. Atmospheric processors are accepting quantum calibration. In the Himalayas, the crystal arrays rose higher, their surfaces catching the sunlight and transforming it into power that defied measurement. Monks in nearby monasteries smiled knowingly. Their orders had helped guard these secrets for generations. He-Yun touched a control, bringing up a new display. "Watch," she said to the leaders. A small test pulse rippled through Earth's atmosphere. On the screens, a tiny asteroid approaching Mars suddenly vanished, transferred to a pocket dimension by the planet's defensive grid. "That was less than 1% of the system's power," she explained. "When fully activated, we can affect objects as large as moons." Ju-Won's voice came through the communication system. "Pacific arrays are fully online, connecting to the global grid now." The room hummed with power as systems that hadn't worked together for thousands of years synchronized. In orbit, satellites detected energy readings that made their sensors malfunction. The Draconian fleet, still confidently approaching, remained unaware that Earth's entire biosphere was being transformed into a weapon. 4 hours to intercept," announced the tracking system. He-Yun looked at the assembled leaders. "The planet itself is our shield," she repeated. "And soon, our visitors will learn why Earth has remained untouched by conquest for so long. We're not just defending our world, we're awakening it." In the Pacific facility, Ju-Won watched the power readings climb. Soon, the Draconians would learn the truth about the primitive world they thought would be an easy conquest. Earth wasn't just a planet. It was humanity's greatest creation, and it was finally waking up. The massive Draconian command ship hung in Earth's orbit like a dark cloud, its surface absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Inside the quantum control center buried deep beneath Mount Fuji, Officer Oh Min-seok watched the alien fleet's formation with practiced calm. His fingers hovered over controls that looked more like artwork than technology, their crystalline surfaces pulsing with inner light. "Look at them," Chief Strategist Nam Dahai said, standing beside him. "They're not even trying to hide their approach. No evasive patterns, no defensive screens." She shook her head, almost pitying their overconfidence. The main display showed hundreds of Draconian ships arranging themselves in attack formation, their weapons powered up, creating ripples of energy that their sensors could detect. But what they couldn't detect were the quantum distortions already surrounding their fleet, invisible nets waiting to be pulled tight. "Final communication from the Draconian command," announced a technician. "They're repeating their surrender demand." The alien commander's voice filled the control center, its artificial translation unable to hide the contempt in the tone. "Your time has expired, primitive ones. We see no orbital defenses, no planetary shields, not even basic space weapons. Submit now, and we will be merciful." Min-seok allowed himself a small smile as he made minute adjustments to the quantum field. Each tweak was invisible to conventional sensors, but the structure they were building around the alien fleet grew more complex by the second. "Energy readings from their weapons are increasing," reported another technician. "They're preparing for their first strike." Dehai moved to the central command platform, her uniform gleaming under the blue light of the ancient facility. "Let them fire first," she ordered. "Let them commit fully to the attack." The Draconian ships began their final positioning. On Earth's surface, their shadows were visible to the naked eye, causing panic among those who didn't know the truth. Emergency broadcasts urged people to stay in shelters, though the real reason for this wasn't to protect them from the aliens. "Quantum field integrity at 100%, Min-seok announced. "The net is ready." Through the facility's superior sensors, they could see the alien crew members moving about their ships, probably already celebrating their easy victory. Their scans of Earth showed only primitive satellites, basic radio communications, and no signs of advanced technology. They never asked the right questions, Dehai mused, watching the fleet's movement. Never wondered why no other species had claimed Earth before them. Never questioned why a planet so perfect for life had developed without interference. The first Draconian ship fired its weapons, a burst of energy that would have leveled a small continent. But instead of reaching Earth's atmosphere, the beam hit something invisible. For a fraction of a second, the quantum field became visible as a shimmering web of light surrounding the entire fleet. "They're detecting the field," Min Seok reported, his hands dancing over the controls. "They're trying to power up their drive systems." Dehai nodded. "Let them see. It's too late now anyway." Panic spread through the alien fleet as their sensors finally detected the massive energy structure surrounding them. Ships tried to break formation, engines flaring as they attempted to escape, but the quantum net had been woven too carefully, too precisely. Message from their commander called out a communications officer. "They're demanding to know what we are." "Show them," Dehai ordered. Min Seok pressed his palm to the central crystal, and the quantum field began to pulse with visible power. Around Earth, hidden facilities activated in sequence. The ocean itself seemed to glow as ancient machines revealed themselves. The Draconian ships fired everything they had: planet-killing weapons, dimensional torpedoes, even their supposedly unstoppable mass drivers. Each attack was absorbed by the quantum field, making it shine brighter with each impact. "They're scanning us now," Min Seok reported, finally seeing what's been here all along. Through their sensors, they watched realization spread through the alien fleet. The primitive planet they'd come to conquer was revealing its true nature. Every mountain range, every ocean trench, every weather pattern was part of a defensive system beyond their comprehension. "Final preparations complete," Min Seok announced. "Quantum containment field is stable, awaiting your command." Dehai looked at the alien fleet one last time. "Let this be a lesson," she said softly. "Earth isn't defenseless. Earth is the defense." She gave the order, and the trap that had taken thousands of years to prepare finally closed. The command center hummed with power as Quantum Director Ryu Jaiwan stood before the Master Control Array. Above Earth, the Draconian fleet had just fired their first salvo, a devastating barrage of energy weapons meant to break humanity's spirit. They never saw the trap until it was too late. "Quantum matrices aligned," reported Senior Technician Ko Soo-min, her fingers moving across crystal controls with practiced precision. "Dimensional pocket is stable and ready." Jaiwan watched the massive holographic display showing Earth and the attacking fleet. Each alien ship was marked with glowing indicators, all of them caught in the invisible web of quantum energy that humanity's ancestors had woven into the planet's very atmosphere. "They're trying to boost their shield output," Soo-min announced, reading massive power fluctuations in their drive cores. The Draconian ship's engines flared brilliantly as they attempted to break free from the quantum net. Their weapons continued firing, each blast absorbed by Earth's defensive field and converted into more power for what was about come. "Send the final warning," Jaiwan ordered. "Let history record that we gave them every chance." The message was broadcast in all known frequencies. "Draconian fleet, you have entered a restricted space. Your weapons are ineffective. Your drives cannot escape. Cease fire immediately or face the consequences." The response came instantly. Another barrage of weapons fire, even more intense than before. The alien commander's voice boomed through the command center. "We do not surrender to primitive species. Your tricks cannot save you." Jaiwan nodded slowly. "Very well. Initiate dimensional transfer. Full power." Soo-min's hands danced across the controls, activating systems that had waited millennia for this moment. Around Earth, hidden facilities burst into life. The atmosphere itself began to shimmer with visible energy as quantum particles aligned. "Transfer field at maximum charge," Soo-min reported. "Dimensional pocket is ready to receive." Above them, the Draconian fleet finally realized something was wrong. Their sensors, previously blind to Earth's true nature, suddenly detected energy readings that shouldn't have been possible. Ships tried to break formation, their engines straining against the quantum web that held them. "What are you?" The alien commander's voice had lost its arrogance, replaced by growing fear. "This technology, it's impossible." Jai-1 touched the master control crystal. "Execute transfer." The air around the Draconian fleet rippled like heat waves over desert sand. Space itself seemed to fold, creating patterns that hurt the eyes to look at. In the command center, displays showed energy readings climbing beyond measurable levels. Quantum field stability at 100%. Sumin called out. "Beginning final sequence." The alien ships fired desperately now, their weapons at full power. But each shot was caught in the quantum distortion, adding more energy to the transfer field. Their own attacks were helping to power their removal. "Impossible." The alien commander's final transmission filled the command center. "What are you? How can primitives possess such?" The message cut off as the transfer field reached critical power. In an instant, the massive Draconian fleet, hundreds of ships, thousands of crew members, enough firepower to destroy a dozen worlds, simply vanished. Su-Min checked her readings carefully. Transfer complete. All targets successfully moved to containment dimension. Quantum field is stable. The command center erupted in quiet celebration. Thousands of years of preparation, generations of secrecy, all leading to this moment. Earth's first true test of its ancient defenses had been perfect. "Status of the pocket dimension?" Jai-1 asked, maintaining his professional composure despite the victory. "Stable and sealed," Su-Min replied. "The Draconians are contained in a space roughly 1 cubic light-year in size. They have air, power, and basic resources. They can survive there indefinitely, but they cannot escape." Through their monitoring systems, they could see the alien fleet floating in the engineered dimension. The ships were undamaged, but completely powerless. Their weapons and drives would never work in that carefully crafted space. "Send them the final message," Jai-1 ordered. Su-Min transmitted the prepared statement. "Your fleet is contained, not destroyed. You will be released when you agree to recognize Earth's sovereignty and sign a non-aggression pact. Take time to consider your situation. We can wait." The response was immediate. Threats, demands, promises of revenge. But beneath the bluster, there was fear. The primitive species they had come to conquer had just demonstrated technology that made their most advanced weapons look like children's toys. "Power down the transfer systems," Jai-1 ordered. "Maintain dimensional containment at standard levels." As the ancient machinery cycled down, Su-Min allowed herself a small smile. Somewhere in the contained dimension, the Draconian commander was finally asking the right questions. Why had Earth seemed so defenseless? How had they hidden such power? And most importantly, what else were they hiding? The grand auditorium of the United Nations fell silent as Dr. Yang Haijin took the stage. The world's attention was fixed on this moment, the first public revelation of humanity's true history. Behind her, a holographic display showed images that would forever change how humans saw themselves and their place in the universe. "What I'm about to share has been protected by dedicated families for thousands of years," she began, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "The truth about our origins, our purpose, and our destiny." The first image appeared, a star system with 2 suns, orbited by crystal cities that defied imagination. The assembled world leaders leaned forward in their seats, witnessing humanity's true birthplace for the first time. "We did not evolve on Earth," Haijin continued. "Our ancestors came here, fleeing a war that had consumed 1,000 worlds. They were weary of conflict, tired of seeing their advanced technology used for destruction. They chose Earth not just as a refuge, but as a chance to start again." Security Chief Moon Taidong watched from the side of the stage, coordinating with his team as they managed the global broadcast. Every television channel, every streaming service, every communication platform carried this historic moment. The holographic display showed massive ships, far more advanced than the Draconian vessels, arriving at Earth thousands of years ago. It showed how they transformed the planet, weaving quantum technology into its very nature, hiding their greatest achievements in plain sight. Our ancestors made a choice, Hyjin explained, to live simply, to develop naturally, to keep their power hidden until it was truly needed. The great monuments we thought were built by primitive tools. They were markers, focusing points for the planetary defense system. The myths of gods and magic, memory fragments of our true capabilities. In the audience, world leaders watched in stunned silence as she revealed how every major geographical feature, from the Mariana Trench to Mount Everest, was part of an integrated defensive system beyond current human comprehension. The Draconians were not the first to discover Earth, she continued, but they were the first to force us to reveal our true nature. Others came before them, saw our apparent primitive state, and moved on. That was exactly what our ancestors intended. The display showed the quantum pocket dimension where the Draconian fleet now floated, powerless but intact. A demonstration of power without destruction, mercy without weakness. In secure facilities worldwide, the guardians of Earth's secrets watched the revelation unfold. Generations of their families had protected this knowledge, passing it down through carefully chosen children, waiting for this very day. Park Ji-ho stood in the ancient command center beneath Seoul, surrounded by technology that still surpassed current human understanding. Our ancestors chose peace, he said to the assembled guardians, but they never chose weakness. We remain their worthy inheritors. The global response varied from awe to fear to disbelief, but satellite footage of the Draconian fleet's disappearance, combined with the now visible ancient technology emerging from its hiding places, made denial impossible. We have a choice now, Hyjin concluded her presentation, to emerge fully into our heritage, to reclaim the knowledge our ancestors preserved, and to use it wisely. The galaxy now knows Earth's true nature. The question is, are we ready to accept it ourselves? The days that followed brought rapid changes. Hidden facilities worldwide began sharing their secrets. Children of guardian families stepped forward to teach others about the technology they had protected for so long. The remaining Draconian Empire, receiving proof of Earth's true capabilities, quickly sued for peace. Other alien civilizations, previously dismissive of Earth, now sent diplomatic envoys with unprecedented haste. In the Quantum Command Center, Taeyang watched the global reactions on multiple screens. How long do you think it will take? He asked Ji-ho, for humanity to fully understand what we are. Ji-ho smiled, touching a crystal control panel that hummed with power older than human civilization. We have time, he replied. Our ancestors gave us everything we need, both the power to defend ourselves and the wisdom to use it properly. The rest is up to us. The age of pretending to be primitive was over. Humanity could finally begin the journey of remembering who they truly were, not just survivors, but inheritors of a legacy that spanned the stars themselves.